Excellencies and dear colleagues, distinguished members of the press and media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning once again, and thank you for coming. I am the ambassador of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation to the European Union, based in Brussels, of course. Let me at the outset express that the 57 members of the OIC's total solidarity with Palestine and the Palestinian people. Today, we are also strengthened with the solidarity of the League of Arab States. The world is witnessing continuing Israeli aggression and brutal massacres against a population with total impunity. This is an affront to human dignity, an affront to human conscience. As journalists and media personnel committed to human rights, you have a noble responsibility to right the wrongs, to bring an end to the wrongs, and to help bring an end to such impunity for the sake of humanity, for the sake of human dignity. Now I have the honor to introduce His Excellency Ambassador Mohammed Mahmoud Brahim Khalil of Mauritania, the current chair of the OIC, Council of Foreign Ministers. And after that, we'll also hear from the Chargé d'Affaires, or the Deputy Chief of Mission of League of Arab States, His Excellency Ambassador Abdul Hakim. And then, of course, the floor would be open for your questions, and that segment would be moderated by His Excellency, the Ambassador of Palestine, His Excellency Ambassador Al-Farah. With these few words, I would like now request Ambassador Mohammed Mahmoud Brahim Khalil to give his opening statement. Thank you very much.
Excellences, chers collègues, mesdames et messieurs de la presse, tout d'abord, je voudrais vous remercier d'être présents ce matin à cette conférence de presse. Comme vous le savez, peut-être, les ambassadeurs des pays membres de l'OCI à Bruxelles se sont rencontrés récemment et ont discuté de la situation dramatique qui prévaut dans les territoires palestiniens occupés, en particulier dans la bande de Gaza, où les bombardements, l'offensive terrestre et le blocus illégaux et injustifiés menés par les forces d'occupation israéliennes ont fait des milliers de morts et de blessés. Au moment où nous parlons, le nombre de morts et de blessés ne cesse d'augmenter. Et les bombardements continuent à faire des ravages sans répit au sein d'une population privée de ses besoins vitaux. Nous condamnons fermement cette agression barbare, tout comme d'ailleurs le ciblage et le meurtre délibéré de civils innocents et non armés, de journalistes, de professionnels de médias et des travailleurs humanitaires dans la bande de Gaza. Mesdames et messieurs, comme vous le savez, aujourd'hui, les Palestiniens manquent d'eau, de nourriture, d'électricité et de carburant. Leurs infrastructures de base sont bombardées sans distinction. Les hôpitaux, les écoles et les habitations sont délibérément ciblés dans le but de tuer des civils innocents. L'objectif est donc clair. Il s'agit tout simplement d'exterminer le plus rapidement possible la population de Gaza. Face à l'agression barbare continue d'Israël et aux actes de terrorisme aveugles, les ambassadeurs de l'OCI à Bruxelles ont adopté, en solidarité avec le peuple palestinien, la déclaration qui vous a été remise il y a quelques instants. Cette déclaration s'inscrit en droite ligne avec les appels lancés par l'OCI et les Nations Unies pour instaurer un cessez-le-feu immédiat et ouvrir des points de passage pour permettre l'acheminement rapide, sûr et ininterrompu de l'aide internationale à la population de Gaza. Les ambassadeurs de l'OCI appellent les institutions de l'Union européenne et leurs États membres à s'engager d'urgence dans des efforts concertés pour arrêter les attaques israéliennes barbares et instaurer un cessez-le-feu immédiat. Ils réitèrent leur rejet catégorique du déplacement forcé et violent de la population palestinienne à l'intérieur et à l'extérieur de Gaza. Ils condamnent aussi les violations des droits de l'homme qui résultent de ce déplacement forcé d'une population innocente. Les ambassadeurs mettent en garde contre le débordement de cette situation tragique dans les pays voisins et au-delà. Mesdames et messieurs, la déclaration que vous avez entre les mains est donc un appel à un cessez-le-feu immédiat, complet et inconditionnel, exhortant la communauté internationale à la protection de la population de Gaza et le reste du territoire palestinien occupé, y compris el-Quds al-Sharif, Jérusalem-Est. Je vous remercie de votre attention. Les ambassadeurs qui sont là sont prêts à répondre à vos questions relatives à la déclaration qui vous a été distribuée. Auparavant, je voudrais donner la parole aux représentants de la Ligue arabe.
Merci, Monsieur le Ministre. Last Saturday, the League of Arab States and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation convened in a joint meeting on summit level in Saudi Arabia. The leaders of both organizations adopted a joint resolution representing a common position of the 57 member states of the League of Arab States and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. The summit emphasized that, as Secretary General Guterres pointed out, what happened on October 7th did not happen in a vacuum. It is the failure to find a solution to the Palestinian cause for more than 75 years, and the failure to address the crimes of the Israeli colonial occupation, as well as some parties' unconditional support for Israel, protecting it from accountability and dismissing continuous warnings about the danger of ignoring these crimes, which led to this serious deterioration of the situation. The summit denounced using double standards in the application of international law and warned that this duality seriously undermines the credibility of states that shield Israel from international law, placing it above the law, undermines the credibility of multilateral action, and exposes the selectivity in applying the human value system. The summit stressed that the positions of Arab and Islamic countries will be affected by this application of double standards that leads to a rift between civilizations and cultures. The summit rejected describing Israel's war of revenge on Gaza as self-defense or justifying it under any pretext. It condemned the killing and targeting of civilians and emphasized the need for the international community to take immediate and rapid steps to stop the killing and targeting of Palestinian civilians in a way that demonstrates that there is absolutely no difference between life and life, nor discrimination on the basis of nationality, race, or religion. It also condemned the extremist and racist hatred acts and statements by ministers in the Israeli occupation government, including the threat of one of these ministers to use nuclear weapons against the Palestinian population in Gaza. The summit decided to break the siege on Gaza and impose the immediate entry of Arab, Islamic, and international humanitarian aid convoys, providing food, medicine, and fuel into the Gaza Strip, and called on international organizations to participate in this process. The summit called on the Security Council to take a decisive and binding solution that imposes a cessation of aggression and restrains the colonial occupation authority, which violates international law, international humanitarian law, and international legitimacy resolutions, assuring that failure to do so will be considered collusion that allows Israel to continue its brutal aggression, which kills innocent people, including children, women, and the elderly, and is reducing Gaza to ruins. It also called on the Security Council to take an immediate decision condemning Israel's barbaric destruction of hospitals in the Gaza Strip, preventing the entry of medicine, food, and fuel, and cutting off electricity, water supply, and basic services, including communication and internet services, which constitute collective punishment classified as a war crime according to international law. The summit also called on all countries to stop exporting weapons and ammunition to the occupying authorities that are used both by their army and the terrorist settlers to kill the Palestinian people, destroy their homes, hospitals, schools, mosques, churches, and all their assets. The summit requested the Prosecutor General of the International Criminal Court to complete the investigation into war crimes and crimes against humanity committed by Israel against the Palestinian people in all the occupied Palestinian territories, including East Jerusalem, and decided to establish specialized legal monitoring units to document Israeli crimes committed in the Gaza Strip since October 7th, and prepare legal proceedings on all violations of international law and international humanitarian law committed by Israel against the Palestinian people. The summit confirmed its support to the legal and political initiatives of the State of Palestine to hold officials of the Israeli occupation authorities accountable for their crimes, including the request for an advisory opinion of the International Court of Justice, and allowing the investigation committee established by the Human Rights Council to investigate these crimes without obstruction. The summit condemned the displacement of approximately 1.5 million Palestinians from the north of Gaza into the south, constituting a war crime in violation of the Fourth Geneva Convention, and called on the United Nations organizations to confront the attempt by the occupation authorities to institute this miserable, inhumane reality, and stressed the necessity of the immediate return of the displaced people to their homes. The summit categorically and univocally rejected and expressed determination to a collective response to any attempts at committing the war crimes of forced transfer, forced displacement, exile, or deportation of the Palestinian people, individually or collectively, inside the Palestinian territories or to any other destination. The summit emphasized the need to release all prisoners, detainees, and civilians, and condemned the abhorrent crimes committed by the colonial occupation authorities against thousands of Palestinian prisoners, and called on all concerned countries and international organizations to put pressure to stop these crimes and prosecute their perpetrators. The summit rejected any proposals comprising the separation of Gaza from the West Bank, and emphasized that any future approach to Gaza must be in the context of working on a comprehensive solution that guarantees the unity of Gaza and the West Bank, including East Jerusalem, as the land of the Palestinian state. The summit emphasized the need for the international community to move immediately to launch a serious and real peace process to impose peace on the basis of a two-state solution that meets all the legitimate rights of the Palestinian people, especially the right to embody their free, independent, sovereign state along the lines of June 4th, 1967, with East Jerusalem as its capital, in accordance with international legitimacy resolutions and the Arab Peace Initiative with all its elements and order of priorities.
Thank you. I'd like to draw your attention that the translation into English of my opening remarks is available. If anyone wants to get this, Mr. Torad has a translation. Yes, thank you.
My name is Nawab Khan, correspondent of the Kuwait News Agency here in Brussels. Nawab Khan, Kuwait News Agency, Brussels. As you are aware that EU foreign ministers are meeting now next door. So what is your message to them? Thank you.
Thank you. Another question? We will take your question by group of three, 4 questions, and we answer after. Yes, Mr.
Excuse me, may I request that you introduce yourself when making the questions? Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Clément Boileau, L'Avenir. You didn't mention, if I'm right, the
Excuse me,
stages.
could you introduce yourself?
Sorry, Clément Boileau, L'Avenir,
L'avenir, okay.
Belgian newspaper.
Thank you.
So, do you plead for a release of the hostages that remains in Gaza? So, yes or no question.
Yes, the lady.
Sunniva Rose, the national UAE newspaper. You mentioned the call for the breaking of the siege on Gaza. Could you please elaborate on how you expect that to happen?
Imran Beg from Sama, Pakistan. My question to all of them, anyone can answer. Unfortunately, no bold stance and action plan has been adopted by the OIC for the permanent solution of the two major issues of Ummah, Kashmir and Palestine.
Thank you. Comme vous le savez, le message qu'on peut adresser aujourd'hui est un message très clair. Dans la situation que vous connaissez, la situation que vous suivez tous les jours, le message est le suivant. Il faut arrêter immédiatement les bombardements. Arrêter de tuer des civils innocents. Arrêter de déplacer des populations innocentes. Arrêter de brûler, de bombarder les hôpitaux, les écoles, les habitations. C'est ça le message. À l'adresse de la communauté internationale, à l'adresse des décideurs politiques. Le message à l'adresse de la presse, les journalistes. S'il vous plaît, soyez prudents. Évitez les mensonges qu'on colporte un peu partout aujourd'hui. Essayez de vérifier les informations que vous donnez au public. Nous constatons qu'il y a des mensonges publiés pour donner une mauvaise image des Palestiniens. Nous avons publié sur les médias sociaux, un peu partout, les images de Palestiniens brûlés, mutilés, et qui sont présentés comme étant des Israéliens. C'est des mensonges. C'est à vous d'informer objectivement et suivant la réalité que vous constatez, la communauté internationale. Votre rôle est très important, surtout en ces moments-ci. Merci.
Merci. J'ajoute seulement une seule chose, le message est très clair parce que vraiment, hier soir, on a vu le communiqué au nom de 27. Vraiment, c'est après un mois, c'est après 12 000 de morts, c'est après 5 000 des enfants que ont tués par l'armée de Coopération israélienne, c'est après 3 000 femmes. On voit le communiqué d'hier, vraiment, c'était quand même... on ne peut pas vraiment croire que les 27 États ont mis tout leur poids pour arriver à ce communiqué qu'on a vu hier. Donc le message de tous les ambassadeurs OIC aujourd'hui, c'est pour la réunion de FAC, le Conseil des affaires étrangères européennes, qu'il faut vraiment sortir de double standard. Il faut être réel. Je voudrais seulement vous dire une seule phrase. Le 10 octobre, juste 2 jours après le 7 octobre, j'ai été chez le responsable, très responsable européen, et je lui ai dit, Excellence, vous voyez, jusqu'à maintenant, ils ont attaqué Gaza et on a beaucoup plus de 700 morts. Qu'est-ce que vous avez attendu pour qu'on arrive à 10 000 morts à Gaza? Vous savez ce qu'on m'a dit la réponse? Mais non, monsieur l'ambassadeur, vous exagérez. Il m'a dit, on n'arrivera jamais à 10 000. Aujourd'hui, on est à 12 000. 12 000. Dans 5 000 enfants, 3 000 femmes. Qu'est-ce que vous attendez en Europe ici? C'est ça notre message. C'est ça notre message. J'espère qu'elles ont à côté de nous aussi le Conseil, le FAC, les ministres étrangères, je pense qu'il faut tout de suite prendre la seule chose, c'est le feu, tout de suite. Parce que vraiment, si on va attendre beaucoup, je pense qu'on va arriver à 20 000. Ils vont nous dire, ah, 20 000, c'est aussi trop, vous exagérez. C'est ça notre message aujourd'hui. Ce n'est pas le message de Palestine, c'est le message de 57, 58 États au monde qu'ils vont dire aux Européens, il faut faire vos devoirs. C'est ça vraiment notre message. Bon, deuxième question, je pense sur les otages. Je demande si c'est l'ambassadeur Qatar, s'il peut répondre, parce que c'est Qatar qui essaye de résoudre ce problème. Monsieur l'ambassadeur.
Yeah, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. About your question about the hostages, Qatar has been playing a major role since day one to release as much as we can hostages. You know that we have successfully managed to release some hostages from Ukraine, which has been captured in Russia before, and then another family, Americans, which has been also within Gaza. So we are trying our best to release as much as we can. We ask for ceasefire so that this exercise will be successful. We ask for cooperation also to open a corridor, a humanitarian corridor, to have all this humanitarian aids to enter to Gaza so that at least people can have a relief on this. But we are doing our best. We have received a number of phone calls from head of states calling us, from ministers of foreign affairs as well, on a daily basis, and we are still doing our part. We are talking to all parties to release as much as we can hostages, and hopefully we can give you a good news shortly. Thank you.
Thank you. I did not wish to intervene, but just to draw your attention to the joint resolution that was adopted by the OIC and the Arab League at the summit level. It does talk about emphasizing the need to release all prisoners, detainees, and civilians. And it also asked to condemn the abhorrent crimes committed by the colonial occupation authorities against thousands of Palestinian prisoners. So, and it has called on all concerned countries and international organizations to pressure for stopping this crime and prosecuting their perpetrators. So the joint resolution was very clear. It called for the release of all prisoners, detainees, and civilians. As you know, that many Palestinians are held, many Palestinian civilians are held in detention. And so this is across the message is across. So I just wanted to point this, bringing into line what was adopted by the leaders at the summit level just on Saturday. Thank you very much.
Merci, Madame l'ambassadeur. Encore 3 questions.
Yeah. My name is Abdul Latif. I am Abdul Latif. I am the editor of Kashmir Watch based in Brussels. My question is related to the Saudi summit. What is the outcome of the Saudi summit and events like this one? And do you think that that Gaza massacre will change the future course of the global diplomacy and the Islamic organizations? Thank you.
May I? I'm Muhammad Nasser, Brussels Police and City Councillor. Actually, my question is hidden in today's newspaper. Today's Belgian newspaper, there is a report that Mr. Paul, the president of the Socialist Party, which is Belgium's largest political party, started on national television that we should take economic measures against Israel to protect innocent lives. On the other hand, at the OIC summit, Muslim leaders refused to implement economic sanctions against Israel to save innocent lives. What a shame. As the OIC representative, as you are to all of you ambassadors in Brussels, could you please clarify the OIC position on taking action to protect innocent lives? Thank you. Me as a city councillor, we pass a motion in our city council to protect the innocent life and of course to put pressure on Israel. So please do your job. That's it. OIC is not doing his job. Thank you.
Bouzayan Halima, journalist and president of Association Tunisian Diaspora in Belgium, based in Antwerp in the Flandria. I'm also a member from the Christian Democrats, where is my political party on the name of the President Sami al-Mahdi have already clearly, and Benjamin Dal have clearly last week said that we would stop any product coming from Israel. This is our first point that we push as a Muslim inside this party. We already came a little bit late to push our party to give the words. But also we are in Belgium and we are near the Commission European and the Parliament European. Everybody knows that the First Minister, Alexander De Croo, has already given his word to immediately cess fire. This is for us, maybe it's good news when you today, the organization, with what they already have as let's say, the last few days, they are all of them to make ceasefire. But I will ask Mr. Excellence, our ambassador, did you think there is an agenda? Did you think that there is ceasefire? It's okay. When? There is any time? It's going to be soon, in a few days, or it's going to take long? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Odile Larvet, je suis pour Radio Nord-Bretagne, but I'm going to speak in English this morning. I would like to know whether Bahrain, who was in the Abraham Accord, have a special role, perhaps trying to solve this horrible conflict. And because I remember I had the opportunity to work in Bahrain in 1980, 1982, and I was very impressed because, you know, I was waken up by the muezzin every morning. But at the same time, I knew that there was a Christian church and a very famous school, actually, next to it. And I know that there are also Jewish diplomats from Bahrain who are very, very appreciated. So what is the special role that this country could play to solve this horrible, catastrophic conflict? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. My name is Abdelati, the Ambassador of Egypt in Brussels. Well, just a few remarks with regard our messages. I believe that we have a unified message to the European Union, to the EU institutions, to the member states of the European Union, which is an immediate and unconditional ceasefire as of yesterday, not today. This is the most urgent message to our colleagues in the European Union. We must stop this cycle of systematic killings and targeting of civilians in Gaza, killing kids, killing women, and targeting hospitals, targeting schools of UNRWA. So this is the first message. The second message should be, of course, sustainable and unconditional delivery of humanitarian, medical, and food assistance to the people in Gaza. As we mentioned before, people start to drink from the Mediterranean Sea, and there is no water, there is no medicine, there is no food. So this is shame on all human beings to accept that to continue in the 21st century. So the delivery without any impediments, because unfortunately what the Israelis are doing now, they are putting a lot of impediments, a lot of obstacles, a lot of problems, which is hindering the flow of humanitarian aid to the people in Gaza. So those who are opposing an immediate ceasefire, those who are talking about Israel's right of self-defense, they are practically giving a blank check for Israel to continue its massive killings of innocent people in Gaza.
Thank you very much. The ambassador of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. My name is Saja Majali. Just to respond to the questions that were brought forward. First and foremost, perhaps a big thank you for the government of Belgium here, for the people of Belgium, for all the support they have shown throughout. For Belgium, the very balanced position at the highest level, at the level of the Prime Minister and at the level of different ministers, including the Foreign Minister, the Minister of Development Cooperation, and also at the level of the unions and political parties. And Madam, it doesn't matter when, but it matters that you do take a stand, and since you did take a stand, this is something to be saluted for your party and other parties. What have we been doing here? We have all been calling at the highest level from day one, the Arabs and Arab states at the highest level, heads of states, foreign ministers, also have continued in their consultations and discussions at different levels. And at the level of the UN, of course. Unfortunately, two Security Council resolutions failed, but UN General Assembly resolution, which was the voice of humanity, managed to find its way through the collective efforts of the Arab group, as well as other countries around the world, including the many Muslim and Asian and African countries, and even European countries. And Belgium once again voted in favor of this resolution. There was also the most recent OIC summit at Riyadh, very important summit that culminated in what our dear ambassador here summed up with our colleague from the League of Arab States, and I will not go into that. And it is very clear, and you can find the text. What can we do? Many Arab states and many non-Arab states have recalled their ambassadors from Israel, and these resolutions are there, and they are added to many resolutions. That's true. What are these resolutions going to do? If there is no pressure mounted on Israel through the different countries, the international community around the world, be it the EU countries or the West in general, Israel will continue in its impunity. And this is why we need to ensure that the war, this unjust, cruel, gruesome war, which is being shed on innocent, defenseless civilian population, stops. So we need a ceasefire, as my colleague said yesterday, now, immediately, without any delay. And this is a message that we are also sending to the ministers' meeting today in Europe. We need a ceasefire now. We need to ensure uninterrupted humanitarian assistance that reaches in a sustainable manner. We need to stop the targeting of Palestinian population, the destruction of Palestinian infrastructure in Gaza, the killing of women, children, and elderly, of doctors, of paramedics, of journalists, We need to protect the civilian population. We need to ensure that international humanitarian law and international law is applied to the Palestinians. Palestinian lives matter. We need to stop this war, which is not a war on Hamas. It's a war on a defenseless people. And we need all your assistance and help to bring about this. Belgium has spoken in different ways over the past few weeks. Large demonstrations manifested the value you place to human life, to dignity, to humanity, and we count on you and we count on your leaders to do their job, because the world is watching and history is watching, and one day we will wake up and say that we didn't do enough, and this should not in any way be allowed to happen. So I end with this.
Turkey, please.
Thank you very much. Just to answer one of the questions, I would like to underline Article 11 of the OIC summit conclusions. Basically, OIC mandates the foreign ministers of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia as chair of the Arab Summit and the Islamic Summit, Palestine, Jordan, Egypt, Qatar, Turkey, Indonesia, Nigeria, and any other interested countries, foreign ministers basically, to start the immediate international action on behalf of all member states of the organization and the League to initiate an international action to stop the war on Gaza and press for the launch of a serious and real political process to achieve lasting and comprehensive peace in accordance with the adopted international terms of reference. Of course, today I am in front of you as the Turkish ambassador to the EU, as an ambassador of an EU candidate country. I don't think that in our approach to this crisis we are not alone. I don't see any polarization, and I know that many countries in other parts of the globe, including in Northern and Western Europe, they also share most of our concerns. They also, I think, expect the same action to be taken as immediately as possible. So this is not an appeal from the Arab world. This is not an appeal only from the Islamic world. This is not an appeal from the South, but this is an international appeal. So our appeal is to stop this bloody war, this aggression, and it should not be an aggression of revenge. We need to focus on the ceasefire immediately, and then we need to focus on aid, but we should also continue to insist on the peace process, which is an important thing. Thank you.
Ambassador of Iran, please.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. Hello, everybody. As you heard, the statement by, the summit has reflected the positions of the OIC regarding the current crisis. What has been declared is a position, but it seems, as stated now by Ambassador of Turkey, paragraph 11 has mandated members of the OIC to go towards exploring the ways and means that we can put pressure on Israel, because it is clear that as long as Israel does not feel the pressure, as long as Israel feels impunity for their crimes, its crimes, and the genocide that is going on in Gaza, as long as Israel does not feel accountability, we should not expect, I think, any positive response from the other side. So I'm sure that from now on, having this declaration by the OIC, the members of the OIC, the diplomats of OIC would strive towards finding a way towards the pressure, on Israel to, push them to stop the bloodshed, as stated by distinguished ambassadors of the OIC. The immediate and imperative thing now is to stop this bloodshed and then go to
the other matters to be done, including the freedom of all prisoners in both sides. Thank you very much.
Prends des questions, oui, allez-y.
حاتم سكلي من شبكة العين الإماراتية. Ma question est, quels sont les outils ou bien quelles sont les attentes palestiniennes de l'Union européenne? Quels sont les outils que l'Union européenne n'a pas encore utilisés pour justement mettre de la pression pour un cessez-le-feu imminent? Puis la deuxième question, lors d'un briefing avec l'Union européenne concernant le Conseil des ministres des Affaires étrangères vendredi, on a évoqué la possibilité du futur de Gaza après cette guerre. Donc, est-ce que l'autorité palestinienne a reçu quelconque message pour la direction, pour la gestion de Gaza après la guerre? Merci.
Thank you very much. My name is Muhammad Rajai Barakat. I cover Euro-Arab relations for many Arabophone TVs. I noticed that Arab and Muslim public opinion are not satisfied by the positions which was adopted by the last conference. And many people ask why do not Arab world use all economic sanctions using oil, petrol as they make in 1973, so as to make pressure on United States of America and European countries so as to change their position. And some people also ask the question, why Egypt do not have the sovereignty so as to open the gate between Gaza and Egypt? Thank you very much.
Burkhard Jürgens from the Catholic News Service, Germany. Thank you for doing this. In the public discourse, the Hamas plays a certain role. Could you clarify what's your position on Hamas and its actions? Thank you.
Okay. Last one.
Ecco, ragazzi, quel politico. Sorry. You expressed your disappointment with the statement last night of the 27, and it was very clear. And you were asking, it seemed that you wanted to see there some clear lines on a ceasefire. But I was wondering what else you would have liked to see in that statement that you haven't seen in the statement published last night. And secondly, a follow-up on the question on the post-war. Are you already laying out some plans with the Europeans? Are you explaining to the Europeans what you would like to see for the post-war, and what is the Palestinian Authority plan for the post-war? Thank you.
Thank you. Merci. Je prends la première question, après je donne à mes collègues de répondre. Qu'est-ce qu'il faut faire, l'Union européenne? Beaucoup de choses. Tout d'abord, vous savez, les États membres de l'Union européenne sont les amis proches d'Israël. Et toujours les amis peuvent jouer un rôle beaucoup plus important que les autres. On a vu de 7 octobre jusqu'à quelle date, et tous les pays européens, tous les présidents, chefs de gouvernement, chefs étrangers, ils ont tout de suite allé vers Israël pour montrer la solidarité, le soutien terrible. En même temps, aujourd'hui, on voit des enfants qui sont vraiment égorgés devant tout le monde. Les hôpitaux qu'ils ont bombardé tout. Quand je vois le plus grand hôpital à Gaza, Shefa, qui est embarqué par les forces d'occupation israéliennes, et les blessés, et les enfants, et les bébés morts à l'intérieur, bien sûr, l'Union européenne a beaucoup de choses à faire. Au moins, défendre les principes de fondateurs de l'Union européenne. Les principes de droits d'homme, droit de la vérité, ça c'est quelque chose que si on va respecter ça, je pense qu'on peut jouer un très grand rôle. Le deuxième paragraphe aux questions concernant l'avenir de Gaza, non. l'Organisation de libération de Palestine, OLP, n'ont rien reçu officiellement, ni de l'Europe, ni de n'importe quel pays au monde. C'est quelque chose qui s'appelle nos papers, nos papiers, qui est présenté ici et là pour discuter l'avenir de Gaza. Pour nous, c'est la folie. Comment on parle de l'avenir de Gaza maintenant, avant qu'on arrête tout de suite la guerre? Il faut arrêter l'agression, il faut arrêter les crimes, il faut arrêter les massacres contre nos enfants et nos femmes et nos peuples. Et après, on va parler de l'avenir de Gaza. L'essentiel maintenant, d'arrêter tout de suite le feu. Ça, c'est à l'avenir de Gaza, personne ne parle maintenant. Normalement, les États-Unis d'Amérique, les Nations Unies, Conseil de sécurité, l'Union européenne vont faire se réunir pour arrêter l'agression. Après, on parle de l'avenir de Gaza. Et pour l'avenir de Gaza, le seul qui a le droit à décider, c'est notre peuple palestinien. Le peuple palestinien dans la bande de Gaza, Cisjordanie, Jérusalem-Est et dans le camp des réfugiés à l'extérieur de Palestine. C'est le seul, le ALP, qui a le droit de décider ça. Aucun. Personne. Notre peuple vivant, malgré tout, malgré les massacres, malgré tout, on voit un bébé palestinien, un enfant palestinien, ou une personne âgée qui dit « Je quitte pas ma maison, même s'ils vont me tuer tout de suite. » C'est ça notre peuple. Et le début, personne ne décide à sa place. Personne ne décide à la place du peuple palestinien. Il faut tout le monde dire ça, partout. On a dit ça déjà, mais officiellement, on n'a rien reçu. C'est des non-papers qui circulent partout, ici et là. Deuxième question, je pense que... C'est l'Arabie Saoudite qui va répondre. Non?
The sanctions against countries.
It's very clear here. Will the summit that was held 2 days ago, a very firm and strong decision came out from it. It is very clear here. The first thing, of course, is to seize the fire and seize the fire. You cannot talk about even the day after or what we have in mind as an Arab countries, oil producing countries or anything. We have to stop this war, this peaceless war. We have to, and then of course there comes of course the very important humanitarian aids that should be allowed without any kind of impediments. I mean, people who are serious, I mean, they have to really pave the ground for the relief of the Palestinian people from the misery, from the suffering that they are going through, rather than going into theatrical postures, you know. So I advise you to go back to the decision, to the very strong decision that came out the other day, and you will see where this responsibility lies, the responsibility of stopping the war. The international community is called for now really to take action. The Security Council has also to take up its duties as enshrined in the United Nations. These are the kind of questions that need to be pondered and that need to be discussed, I mean. Thank you.
Ambassadeur d'Égypte.
Well, thank you so much. I have just very quickly 3 messages. First of all, I would like to join their Excellency the Ambassador of Palestine and Saudi Arabia that it's ridiculous to talk about the future of Gaza with the continuation of the mass killings of civilians. So, first of all, we have to stop this war of aggression against civilians. We will not talk, we will not allow anybody to talk about the day after without addressing the concerns and the conditions of today. This is one. Number 2, you talk about Egypt, and of course Egypt is a sovereign state, and we are more than capable to defend ourselves and to defend our border. But as you understand, and we explained it 100 times before, that number one, the Egyptian side of the crossing of Rafah is open, never being closed, never, even for 1 hour. But as you know, there are two sides of the crossing. One in the Egyptian territory, which is under the full sovereignty of Egypt, and it's open, as I mentioned, and the other one inside Gaza. Unfortunately, the Israelis, they kept bombarding the Palestinian side of the border, of the crossing, day by night, destroying the routes, connecting the trucks into Gaza, targeting civilians, Palestinian employees, because, you know, in order to have the crossing operational, you must have a coordination between the Palestinian side and the Egyptian side. Now the Palestinian side is not working, nobody is there, and it's under attacks day by night by the Israelis. So I would like to clarify it for the 100th times that the Egyptian side of the crossing is open, and but again, we have to apply more pressure on the Israeli side. We, it means Egypt, it means the whole human being, it means all world with conscious, you know, in order to help the people in Gaza to have food and to have medical care. The last point with regard to Hamas, again, you know, let us be serious. Without addressing the root causes of the conflict, nothing will be changed. I can assure you that what happened on the 7th of October will be repeated again, as long as occupation is continued, and without having the only game in town, the two-state solutions, according to the parameters approved by the international community, I can assure you no peace, no comprehensive peace, no security for Israel or in the region without addressing the core of the conflict, which the Palestinian cause. Without having a Palestinian legitimate rights to be admitted and to have their own country, an independent and viable state on the occupied territories on the lines of the 4th of June, 1967, I can assure you nothing will be changed in this region, and nobody, no single country can enjoy sustainable peace and security without solving this problem. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Just to add that at the Riyadh Summit conference level, there was a rejection of the proposals to separate Gaza from the West Bank, including also East Jerusalem, and a call for convening an international conference and a credible peace process. The basis of which is, of course, international legitimacy, resolutions of the UN General Assembly and Security Councils, as well as establishing sovereign Palestinian state with East Jerusalem as its capital on the lines of the 4th of June. And this is something we know. So we need to work on, as my colleague, the ambassador of Egypt, rightly said, to end to bring about end aggression, bring about the ceasefire, so that we can move on to what is really required, because a security solution does not bring security or stability. Neither does a military solution. The only way to solve this issue is through a political solution, the parameters of which are clear and known to everyone. There was also a rejection, and it's also linked to the question that was presented here, to the collective or individual attempt to collectively or individually forcibly place Palestinians inside, whether inside the occupied Palestinian territories in Gaza, West Bank, or East Jerusalem, or outside. This is a crime. It's a war crime. It can amount to a crime against humanity under the Rome Statute also, and it is punishable by law. And also there was in this regard a firm reference to provide, to ask the ICC prosecutor to complete the investigations that were started on the crimes, war crimes and crimes against humanity that have been committed by Israel over the past weeks in Gaza and elsewhere in the West Bank and Jerusalem. Thank you.
Ambassador Kuwait.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank everyone for being here with us. And I think journalists have a noble job in principle, is basically to deliver the correct message and to speak for the victim, the voiceless victims. One of the esteemed members asked, what is the implication of what's going on the region or on the future of the region? I don't think we are at a stage where we can see what's going to happen, but the Arab Islamic Summit referred to a very important principle, which is the application of double standards. I think this is something that we all have to deal with, because now we see a paralyzed Security Council, we see a paralyzed international system that cannot actually act in one unified voice. And what will future generations will inherit, especially for small states, when powerful members of the international communities can act with impunity. And this is very unfortunate. I think now, after 38 days and almost 12,000 victims, I think now is the time to speak in one unified voice. Enough is enough. I think we all should call for a ceasefire. Thank you very much.
Please. Thank you, Ambassador. Thank you. Just I wanted to say that it is ironic that 30 days, more than 30 days, after this bloodshed in Gaza and killing of more than 12,000 innocent people, most of them are women and children, now we are receiving questions regarding our position on Hamas action. Of course, this is a right of everybody to ask any question that they like. But what we have been witnessing, as the Master of Kuwait mentioned, during last 30 days, unfortunately, we have been witnessing a double standard in positions of most of Western countries. Many Europeans, some of Europeans have taken, agreeable positions. But when we go to EU, for example, when we go to the United States, when we go to the Security Council, as stated by previous speakers, we are witnessing that, unfortunately, the international system is paralyzed in dealing with the international peace and security. What shall be done to, wake the conscience of us and push us towards taking a right position? Look, in the streets from Ottawa to Washington to Australia, everywhere the people is crying for ceasefire. But unfortunately, nobody listened to the people, to the voice of the people. As stated by previous speakers, that history will judge. Europeans claims that they are defendant of human rights. They adopt a resolution against the country just for a claim, for example, somebody due to homicide has been executed, while they are completely, not only has been silent during last month, but also they took biased position by not condemning this aggression. Not condemning this aggression means supporting the aggressor. And we know very well that Israel is very, skillful in being aggressor and pretend that it has been aggressed by others. Being, oppressor and pretend that it has been oppressed. Being threat others, but pretend to being threatened by them, by others. So we expect Europeans to change their position. Europeans, when I'm talking about Europeans, I'm talking about the European Union, to take a firm position, and hopefully other Western countries. We don't want to say that, unfortunately, the US, which is the most powerful country in the world now, even has been called by some of its allies as disqualified partner or party to mediate this conflict. Anyway, I hope that from now on we move toward deeds, and we will be able to receive the support of other countries, particularly the Europeans, and hopefully Israel feels more pressure to stop this bloodshed. Thank
you. Are there any other questions? If not, we have to end this press conference. So, Excellencies, so I was told that Ambassador of Pakistan would like to answer some question. Excellency, you have the floor.
Thank you, Ambassador. Just to reiterate and to summarize what our honorable ambassadors have said, that the resolution has called for an international peace conference as soon as possible, through which a credible peace process will be launched. I will just briefly outline that it has been asked to establish a geographically contiguous state of Palestine, and prior to 4 June 1967 borders. And what that will include, it will include East Al-Quds, the occupied Syrian Golan, the Lebanese Sheba Farm, Kafr Shuba Hills, and the outskirts of the town of Al-Mari, and the implementation of the two-state solution. So just to ensure that there is no ambiguity on that. Thank you.
Thank you again for giving me the floor. I know it's quite late, but I would like to say that, till the moment, I'm sure that there are many suggesting that Israel has the right to self-defense, and some have qualified that it has the right to self-defense within the parameters of international law and human rights law. Fair enough, but who is really ensuring that Israel is doing that? And then, as you know, that we have been talking about the joint resolution adopted by the OIC and their League of Arab States in Riyadh. It has categorically rejected describing this retaliatory war as self-defense or justifying it under any pretext, and demand to stop it immediately. Well, many have said that what this ongoing action or the atrocities or aggression, it can be best described as vengeance, collective punishment of civilians that itself constitutes a crime under the international law. I'm just saying that it is not what we are seeing is exercising the right to self-defense. The country's very high representative has said, and I would like to quote, and he's on record, "It is time to teach them a lesson." So are we seeing it as a right to self-defense, or is it what is ongoing, the collective punishment and retaliatory action against the civilians in Gaza, it is nothing but their avowed statement of teaching them a lesson. So it's not a right to self-defense. Those who, I mean, the leaders who say that, Israel has a right to self-defense, yes, right to self-defense is a very important concept in international law, but it is not a right to self-defense that we are seeing. So please, it is my appeal, it is our appeal that you correct it when you are writing your reports, please. It's not right to self-defense. Thank you very much.
Thank you, dear journalists. Thank you for having come here. I think our main message was clear, and press conference is ended. Thank you.